Hey guys, today I'm gonna go over Stormsunder. Stormsunder is an RPG tabletop game with choose-your-own style adventure, detailed miniatures, and limitless potential game design space. Recently in March 2020, the game has successfully completed a Kickstarter campaign, raising almost $820,000 with nearly 4,200 backers, despite rather short 9 days campaign. The company of production is Lazy Squire, which we will talk about as part of concerning point. The game has 3 tiers, either Set 1, Set 1-2, and Set 1-2-3, each costing approximately $150 US. The world setting in the Stormsunder is dark low fantasy with some humor. American comic style art used in this game is written only by a single individual, supposedly. Choose your own style adventure book storytelling in this game have a significant impact on the story path depending on your choices. Example given is one of hero not only leaves your party but may even become an enemy that you have to fight based on your choice. Players can also even kill quest giver. Also in this game, heroes have many stats and classifications, so when it comes to deciding story progression, there are many design space that developer can utilize. Stormsunder story adventure is not just a gimmick we often see in these type of games. When it comes to player versus player card game, the design decision on which resource system the game uses often correlates with the depth and complexity of overall gameplay. Most resource system design can be categorized into 4 categories. In games without any resource management, I call no resource system or NRS, players' actions are often constrained by how many cards one can play per turn. Automatic resource system is a system where a given number of resources are automatically generated each turn. Sacrificial resource system is a system where one sacrifices a card for resource point. Lastly, card-based resource system is where there are actual resource cards to manage resource. This categorization seems to apply well in adventure RPG tabletop games. For example, Gloomhaven uses no resource system, whereas Orthrone uses automatic resource system. In Stormsunder, general resource called action point are automatic resource system, with amount of resource gained per turn decided based on the hero's stats. For instance, Alexander here generates 5 action points each turn. In addition to ARS, Stormsunder has sacrificial resource system component. Hero's special power, called signature skills, requires power rather than action points. Each turn, player may discard a card to gain power equals to cost of discarded card's action points. In strategy card games, number of card types defines the card game's design space. Stormsunder does not just have number of card types compatible to sophisticated player versus player card game, but each components have significant detail beyond some of the PvP card game has. In addition to standard 3 parameters often seen in this type of game, health, attack, and movement point, there are 6 additional stat parameters in the game of Stormsunder. These parameters include strength, perception, agility, spirit, vitality, and charisma. Different parameters allow distinction of which weapon one favors rather than just entirely making whole type of weapon completely inaccessible or accessible to certain classes. Also, some parameters are used outside of combat for testing in story part. In card games, role, class, faction, and race are often used for the game's design space, such as race deck. In RPG, this is not an option, but an absolute piece of the game. Stormsunder not only have a couple of these, but all 4 components. Hero in Stormsunder certainly has its ground covered to the point design space allows pretty much anything. Each hero possesses powerful special powers in Thunderstorm, called signature skills. This is a common game mechanic seen in various card games with hero. Rather than giving fixed signature skills to a given hero, Stormsunder allows customization here. Players can choose which signature skills to bring into the combat for each hero. Furthermore, not only one, but 2 signature skills are allowed in this game, with one being utility type and the other ultimate type. Each hero will have an ability deck consisting of various ability cards. As in conventional strategy card game, players will be drawing cards from the corresponding hero's ability deck, each turn up to 3 to keep hand size 5. This drawing from deck gives variance into the gameplay, but draw 3 seems to take away common shortcomings seen in the PvP card games at the later stage, where you simply have no card to play other than one you just drew. Stormsunder does support instant intercept type cards, where hero can use his or her ability during other heroes or adversary's turn. One of an interesting game mechanics that Stormsunder utilizes is trait cards. These cards represent hero's trait or character, which evolves as the story progresses. In the RE campaign, these cards generally result in negative effect when drawn from hero's ability deck, but later as hero evolves, some may convert into positive effect. In Stormsunder, equipment card type covers several interesting game mechanics. Requirements and base damage based on different stat parameters of the hero. Weapon may be sheath, and use of one action point allows switching weapons during the encounter. Armor versus defense mechanics both reduces the amount of damage during each attack, but armor is diminishable, where defense isn't. There is a set bonus with a special effect conferred if a hero is equipped with enough equipment from the particular set. When I first saw a word companion, I immediately thought token generating cards, but just with other parts of this game, Stormsunder added more details, complexity to this. Companions can be divided into 3 types by its size: small, medium, and large. Small creatures are just cards without presence on battlefield. Medium size have token and presence on battlefield, but cannot be targeted by adversary. Large companions are full-fledged heroes-like entity. This is perpetual scheme of Stormsunder, where more subclassification detail in the base game design, so there are more design space to walk around. Consumable are one-time use item cards. Adversary cards are similar to hero, but with some distinctive appropriate differences. Adversary cards have physical defense, magical defense, loot, and experience. Furthermore, though stated less important than heroes, adversary do have archetype, class, faction, and race. All these are potential design space where specific game mechanics can be expanded on. When a hero slays adversary, that hero gets specified number of loots for the adversary. In Stormsunder, this means for each loot, player gets to draw a card from loot deck. Interesting game design here is that there is second layer of drawing associated with some pieces, such as equipments. This system allows developer to control which specific piece is available during which encounter. Furthermore, the game gives option to rest or not rest between encounters in certain situations, and such decision give consequence to player by not reshuffling loot deck. This basically gives a better chance to draw better loot if first land didn't get what the player wanted. As in many tabletop RPG, Stormsunder utilizes dice to give variance or luck component to each attack. This game design space gives a potential problem analogous to resource or mana screw in card game. Imagine complete missed attack one after another due to one's lack of dice roll. Although this is a side effect of the game design that gives epic moment feel when critical hit roll to slay enemy at the best imaginable timing, it certainly isn't a fun moment when luck results in your loss. So game seems to come up with some sort of system to manage this negative side effect of dice-based combat system. In Stormsunder, there is a base damage value and dice is in addition to them, but no complete miss attack. From a standard strategy card gamer perspective, battlefield-related mechanics can be a new game design space in a tabletop RPG. The field element in the game board adds its own layer of game tactics. Stormsunder does indeed fully utilize this game design space. It has melee versus ranged attack, line of sight with terrain elements, interactive terrain elements such as lever. Flanking mechanics is one of the most clear game mechanics utilized field element. When allies position themselves in flanking position to a target enemy, these allies gain extra attack power. In Stormsunder, special multi-target attack patterns also do exist, called linked and con attacks. Stormsunder have 4 types of terrain: holes, full and half covers, and interactable terrain. Distinguishing full and half cover is yet another example illustrating the developer of Thunderstorm is going for more potential game design space in every part of game rather than in simplicity. The developer has strong emphasis on miniatures, illustrated by detail quality and sheer number of miniatures included in each set. The first set alone will have 100 miniatures. If all 3 sets were purchased, there will be 348 miniatures. Majority of stretch goals on the Kickstarter were indeed addition of more miniatures. Although the game looks very interesting and has huge potential, there are some concerns. First, its price point. This game is expensive. For each set, it costs roughly $150 plus shipping. If one is to purchase all 3 sets along with 2-way shipping, we'll be looking additional $90 and some places even higher. If you're a completionist, there are several add-ons as well. Having said this, the game is massive with 300 pages of campaign book, 1,000 cards, and 100 plus miniatures to allow 100 hours of gameplay in each set. Since developer states people can upgrade pledge even after core game delivery, if one can really enjoy the game, I personally think it is reasonable price for its scale. Comparison here would be Gloomhaven with retail price of $140, which contains under a couple dozens of miniatures. As a card gamer, completing playset of each expansion in game like Magic: The Gathering costs around $400. Actual gameplay being side, at least from the amount of content, Stormsunder is expensive, but I don't think it is overpriced. If Stormsunder was a strategy card game, from the complexity standpoint of view, this is the Magic: The Gathering rather than Hearthstone. I personally prefer games with more design space in the strategy card game, so the game always continues to have a design space to explore. Hence, as a player, I always feel the game has a whole new feel or mechanics with every expansion they release. However, this is a double-edged sword. The more design space does not always equate to a better game. In fact, there are many games ended up failing because of being too complex. When a game rule or mechanics is too complicated, players end up spending majority of their game time ensuring those rules are followed rather than enjoying the game itself. Furthermore, the more complex a game is, the harder the balancing of the game becomes. Although the general game of design in the Stormsunder appears relatively intuitive, there are enough depth and details to the point I wonder if they had gone too far. The best example here is equipment and base damage. There are stat-based requirements for each weapon type equipment. When the requirement is met, the base damage itself becomes dependent on one of the hero's stat parameter, depicted on the rightmost section. This number is not even a direct damage point translation, but one has to use conversion table. So example illustrated on the demo rulebook is followings. Giant Bane's crossbow needs strength of 8 and perception of 10 for a hero to be able to equip it. Vanessa meets both requirements, so she can indeed equip the crossbows. Weapons base damage is determined based on the rightmost parameter on the weapon card, which is perception in this particular case. Vanessa's perception is 13, which translates to 3 base damage using round down rule and the conversion table. So in the end, Vanessa can indeed equip the Giant's Bane crossbow with her base damage being 3. Now, this system theoretically allows more flexibility to customize a hero based on their player's liking. I would argue very similar result can be obtained if weapons just had a type restriction. This is especially true given Stormsunder's hero stats are fixed for a given level, such as Vanessa at level 4 have only 8 strengths, so should not be able to equip Sinister's chakrams, as shown on the demo book. So designer here could have just say Vanessa at level 4 can equip bow type equipment but not chakram type. If at higher level this is different, they can open the chakram type at that level for Vanessa. As for base damage, current design allows distinction of who is using the equipment, and as a hero levels up and stats improves, even the same equipment can become stronger. This is conceptually and thematically makes sense. However, by adding passive heroes bonus such as Vanessa has plus X base damage with bow type equipment can attain pretty much the same feel with less complexity. It's also easier for developer to ensure balancing, as unintended card combination can be prevented by not allowing Vanessa to wear a chakram type weapon. The third and perhaps main concern of the project, despite raising far more funding than the company asked for, is whether they can really deliver the quality of product that they are claiming, or most importantly, what the players are hoping the game to be. Stormsunder is undeniably a massive scale project with so many miniatures, lots of story to discover, and extensive game design space. This is coming from a developer without prior track record. But Stormsunder is not the first game by Lazy Squire Games. The first successful Kickstarter game was from October 2018, Wild Ascent, which raised $332,000 with over 2,000 backers. The game is also a miniature-heavy board game with interesting game mechanics. Despite original estimated delivery had been December 2019, the game has not yet been delivered. Delayed delivery on Kickstarter project certainly isn't the first time. For example, a major board game publishing company, mastering Kickstarter campaign, CMON had a successfully funded project Time Machine last September, where they were giving second chance to previous Kickstarter exclusive contents on the publicly released games, with minor new contents of soundtracks and digital artbooks. Out of all different projects, one would expect estimated delivery of such projects by experienced company is the easiest to be fulfilled. Yet they have not delivered those products despite their estimated delivery were also December 2019, just like Wild Ascent. What may still be an appropriate question, even with delays, can a startup company without any track record deliver such massive scale and high quality project? From miniature product point of view, we can see mass production miniatures from Wild Ascent, which look as nearly detailed as they had shown on prototype during the campaign. And that is promising. What about game balance? On the update provided during the original estimated delivery month, they have stated that they are still working on some balance. One can take a bold statement in two ways. It could mean they are struggling with making game balanced. The other way to look is that developers care about game balance, hence spending until the last minute. The concern complaint, especially from Wild Ascent backers, is while the developer is behind the schedule, how can they work on such massive new project like a Stormsunder? They should focus on finishing Wild Ascent. Assuming group of people involved in this project, not necessarily all are actively working at the same time. For example, Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering developing team, currently have design schedule divided into three phases: vision design, set design, and play design. Considering Wild Ascent nearing ready for final product unit, using the example of Magic, vision and set design teams may no longer have any productive work for the game, so it makes perfect sense that these groups should be now shifted and started working on the other project or new games. However, the real concern I have is why couldn't they wait until production and shipment of Wild Ascent? Especially, they are almost there. If developer has a high enough confidence on their product, one would think Wild Ascent will create a good reputation for the company and to create a track record. It is the best form of advertisement. Not waiting until Wild Ascent shipment to public players make me wonder two things. Lazy Square Games run out of budget and in need of immediate financial source? This is extremely poor planning as company raised multiple times more funding than they had originally asked for in the Wild Ascent. Alternatively, maybe even worse, maybe company does not have a confidence and perhaps worries that Wild Ascent will ruin their reputation. When you start thinking this way, it perhaps makes sense. The reason why they actually decided to run all three trilogy of the Stormsunder on Kickstarter at once, rather than waiting for first set and then subsequent expansion as the another Kickstarter projects. Personally, Stormsunder looks a very interesting project with great potential from the game design perspective. This could be the game that I have been waiting for. However, will the Lazy Square Games be able to pull it off? This game is on my radar for potential all-in, but we should wait until soon to be delivered developer's first project Wild Ascent public delivery, so we can see what this company is truly capable of.